It's time to discover the craziest, cruelest, and coolest moments from The Boys comic. The Boys has a really good show on Prime, but its origin is one of the most out-of-pocket comics I've ever read. Written by Garth Ennis, who we are no stranger to, and illustrated by various other artists, but mainly Derek Robertson. Now, the show and comic share differences, but it's about Huey Campbell, who joins the vigilante group The Boys, with Frenchman, the female, Mother's Milk, and led by Billy Butcher, so that Huey can get vengeance for his girlfriend and stop superheroes from misusing their powers. Let me know down below, do you like the show or the comic better? I like the show much better just from the first episode, not gonna lie to you. But the comic has its moments, and these are 11 random moments out of the original 72 issue run of The Boys that'll have you screaming jings. Spoiler alert for both the comic and show. Starting with number 11, the death of Huey's girlfriend and Starlight's soul. In the first issue of The Boys, similar to the first episode of the show, Huey loses the love of his life. Except in the comic, he is Scottish with an innocent resemblance to Simon Pegg. While on a date with the love of his life, Robin, A-Train, a Flash copycat, causes her untimely demise when he throws another soup at her, leaving Huey holding her arms. I think the show is much more disturbing with this scene, where A-Train himself does the deed. But nevertheless, seeing this in the first few minutes or panels of The Boys deserves a mention. Otherwise, the Seven, the Justice League of this universe, gained a new member, Starlight. The innocent, heroic Annie January, or Starlight, is recruited into the Seven by the strongest hero, Homelander. But then he tells her to suck it, threatening her family, friends, and opportunity with the greatest superhero team if she doesn't do what they want. After, Starlight is rebuked by the one superwoman that inspired her in the first place. If we could have powers, we would suck even more than we already do. Number 10, the demise of Little Nina and the Soups. Soon the boys go to Russia, hoping to stop Russian crime lord Little Nina from using her soups to take over Russia. She uses a dirty variant of Compound V, the chemical that creates superheroes, but since it's unrefined, it can cause random head explosions. Well, after Little Nina tries to destroy the boys, Butcher plants a bomb inside of her vibrating entertainment device. When she switches it on during her flight to escape her consequences, it explodes the entire flight. After watching the plane go down in flames, Butcher uses Little Nina's detonator that can explode superheroes. He uses it to blow up every single soup that she had hidden away, over 150 of them. You don't want to mess with Comic Butcher. Number 9, the Avenging Squad. Vault, the company that brings us these beautiful people, rebranded until they gain access to Compound V, creating the first superhero team, the Avenging Squad, to help out Americans on the front lines of World War II. Only problem? They were walking elves. Posted with Greg Mallory, the original leader of The Boys, he recounts to Huey how these untrained superheroes were easily wiped out during an attack on his battalion by the Germans. The flying one here gets hit by a plane and ran over by a tank. Greg Mallory was the only one alive until he notices the first soldier boy begging for help, and he gives him all the explosive help he needs. This part of the comic shows the first inadequacy of superheroes and how they threaten the lives of normal people. Number 8. G-Men origins. I don't have to tell you what the G-Men are based on, but they really suck. Led and trained by John Goldigan, they are one of the premier superhero teams next to the Seven and Payback. The boys soon learn that the G-Men have terrible origins. They learn from a recruit that Goldigan would take young people, mentally and physically harm them in various ways that I can't even mention. And if they got out of line, they died only to be reanimated. This guy is crying, retelling all that happened to them, only to get silenced. Gladly, Goldigan and the G-Men are taken out by Vault for harming Vault's reputation, right in front of the boys who are about to fist fight the entire group. But it gets sadder. Prewiz is a team of superheroes also in the G-Men. They've been forced into a box, and right after talking about how they dislike what Goldigan does to them, they are dropped out of a plane. This might be one of the saddest moments in the whole comic. Number 7. Homelander's awful photos. The main hero of the boys is Homelander, but he has done vile, villainous things. The true leader of Vault, James Stillwell, does what he can to keep the superheroes under their control, and he does a great job of it. Probably the only person in the comic with no fear of Homelander, but even he felt disgusted when these random images of Homelander were sent to him, showing Homelander treating 4 adults, a child, and an infant like Play-Doh. These are some of the most messed up images to be drawn in the comic. It's like something out of Cross. I'll take Heat Vision over this any day. Number 6, The Boys vs. Stormfront. In the comics, Stormfront is the first superhero ever, created by the Germans in World War II using the Compound V formula. He moved to America and is one of the most powerful heroes next to Homelander. In the comics, Stormfront and his team Payback are told to eliminate the boys. He harms the female, but she manages to take his eye. Then it's World War II all over again. The boys, including an English butcher, a Frenchman, an American MM, and the Soviet super Love Sausage, all beat Stormfront just like the Allies did when they invaded Berlin. Your twisted, hateful views can go right in the gutter, right next to your brain, Stormfront. Number 5, The Plane. In the show, you see the Seven attempt to intercept a plane that was taken by extremists, but they aren't trained for this situation, and only Superman can stop a plane. Both Homelander and Queen Maeve leave the aircraft and its passengers to crash into the ocean. It's even worse in the comic. In the comic, this aircraft is one of the ones that was taken during September 11th. The towers still stand in the boys' comic universe because the government managed to take down the other aircraft. Vault influences the vice president to let the Seven intercept the last aircraft. It's a failure as soon as Homelander opens the exit door and one of his biggest fans is sucked right into the atmosphere. Homelander screams for the passengers to shut up so loud their eardrums burst. With Jetstream breaking through, Homelander has the most wholesome name to call those extremists before saying F it and leaving Maeve, the passengers, and the other Seven behind when he can't stop the plane. Mr. Marathon, the original speedster before A-Train, grabs a hold and tries to get Homelander to do something because the aircraft is gonna hit New York. And Homelander says, but after enough begging, he flies into the aircraft, breaking it in 2, taking out Mr. Marathon with it. The remnants fall towards New York's Brooklyn Bridge. Do you believe that the show Homelander is actually more competent than the comic? Number 4, Mother's Milk and the Brooklyn Bridge. A lot of the boys' comic has a lot of exposition. How many times do I have to see someone explain something to Huey for 15 pages? Well, one set of exposition that was messed up was Mother's Milk telling his origins, and that he was on the Brooklyn Bridge the day the Seven tried to intercept the plane. He wakes up to hell all around. He attempts to help survivors, specifically one woman who is forced to leave her innocent little younglings behind, and the other half of her body. MM has been through a lot, watching his father fight to death against Vault, his brother's demise, his wife and daughter's downward spiral. He's got more reasons to be a Sith than anybody in this comic. MM would make a great superhero. Number 3, A-Train's death. This story began with the tragic demise of Huey's girlfriend at A-Train's hand. Of course, there would be a moment near the end where Huey would avenge his late girlfriend. A-Train was trying to harm Starlight too, Huey's new girlfriend. Unfortunately, Butcher is going through his villain arc and uses recordings and video to manipulate Huey to become just as hateful and angry as he is. Butcher would manage to grab A-Train, and Huey is reluctant to take him out until Butcher uses recordings of A-Train talking about Starlight and more. Reminding him of what they did to Starlight when she joined, Huey kicks A-Train's head right into New Jersey. The world won't miss A-Train, but that wraps up an underlying reason why Huey joined the boys. Number 2, Queen Maeve's death. Queen Maeve is the definition of if it doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger. She's drowning out her despair with martinis and men. In the comics, Homelander and Black Noir, S.A., Queen Maeve, and she becomes so afraid of them that she goes along with everything. She helps the boys by installing surveillance devices around the 7 headquarters, which Homelander notices her doing. Right before Homelander's ultimate plan to take over the government, Queen Maeve and Starlight run into Homelander. Queen Maeve throws Starlight out of the headquarters, ready to sacrifice herself, but she sacrifices her little servant first by throwing him into Homelander. At least he was cool with it. Unfortunately, Queen Maeve is easily taken out by Homelander, who throws the head down below. Nevertheless, this allows Starlight to escape. The same Starlight that Queen Maeve told to F off after she was essayed by Homelander in the beginning. And finally, number 1. Homelander's true secret. In the comic, Homelander plans to show us lowly humans who the boss is by convincing Supes to help him take over the White House. Wouldn't it be cool if the boys assembled to take him down once and for all? Well, they don't. Just Huey and Butcher and the US Army. Butcher sacrifices himself going inside the White House to end Homelander's terror, finding Homelander with the head of the president. This is personal for Butcher, who wants to avenge his wife. Homelander doesn't even remember her. He also doesn't remember those horrible things he did to other people. It's almost as if someone impersonated him. In the comics, Black Noir is a clone of Homelander, revealing himself to both as the true evil behind Homelander. Created to stop Homelander in case he went evil, Black Noir is the man in these horrible images, and he's done other things pretending to be Homelander. All so that he can trick Homelander into thinking he's going crazy, driving him into becoming a full villain. So really, Butcher's true arch nemesis is Black Noir. Butcher escapes the White House, letting Black Noir and Homelander Mortal Kombat each other. Black Noir wins, and Butcher puts him out of his misery by squishing that think meat in remembrance of his wife. And so, the boys win. And that's a wrap on the most disturbing moments from the Boys comic series. Whether it's the crazy combat, the moral ambiguity, or the dark humor, The Boys never fails to shock and get us thinking. If you enjoyed this deep dive into chaos, make sure to hit like and subscribe and ring the bell for more Spooky Rice. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on any moment I might have missed. Thanks for watching. Spooky out.